Hey, Cub fans! Thanks for joining us here on Randy Talks Cubs. We appreciate you being with us. Cubs lost today, 10-6 to the Brewers, dropping the third game of the series with the final game tomorrow afternoon, dropping our record to 28-28. So we're now an even 500, 4.5 games back in the Central behind the Brewers. Our run differential is continues to plummet. We're down to a -8 run differential. Just a few weeks ago, it was in the positive in a very significant way. So I've been sort of left eye on that one, and it keeps going the opposite direction. So a 10-6 final today. We have a little bit of offensive good news, a little bit of offensive movement. But I think really the story of tonight is Shota Imanaga's start. So I'm going to go ahead and just do that tonight. Shota Imanaga had the obviously there was the worst start of his season, his career here in the major leagues, and I'm going to give you his line and talk a little bit about what he did and why it happened. So he goes 4 1/3, gives up 8 hits, 7 runs, walked 1, struck out 1, and gave up 2 home runs. He came into this game with a .84 ERA in 53 2/3 innings, 58 strikeouts, 9 walks, sub 1 whip at .91. We had won 8 of his 9 starts, and I guess my thought looking at those numbers is those numbers are not going to be sustainable. It's baseball does not allow him to run with a .84 ERA. The math just doesn't play out. So on one hand, you've got the idea that the math world is going to catch up with him at some point, and I think maybe that was what this was tonight, or at least a portion of it. But when I look at it closer, I think there's a second element that I think played into it, and here's why. In the first inning, he gives up a double to Ortiz, and he didn't look great, but Ortiz put a good swing on it. He took that riding fastball of Shota's, and instead of trying to turn on it and popping it up, he took it the other way and doubled. Then after he got Contreras to ground out to Morel, Yelich hit a 2-run homer, first pitch, just ambushed him, and the pitch was middle. It was down. It was his fastball. He didn't get it up. It missed his spot by at least 4 or 5 inches down, and there's no way Christian Yelich is going to miss that pitch, and he did not. It was a tailor-made 92-mile-an-hour fastball right where Christian Yelich's swing would go if he closed his eyes and swung hard. It was right there. And at that point, I'd written in my notes, not sharp. Just a note to myself that, hey, it doesn't look sharp here initially. And it turns out that that's really what he wasn't tonight. Shota just wasn't sharp. And specifically, he wasn't pinpointing his fastball. But I think more than that, I think his splitter looked awful tonight. He never commanded it. It didn't have the movement on it. It didn't look like he had the feel for it. He didn't have the movement and the feel for his fastball either, but not as much, I think, as I noticed in his split. So he abandons it, and next thing you know, he's got a sweeper going. He's throwing his curve. So he was a searching pitcher tonight. He was trying to find the feel. And as I was watching him pitch, at some point the word popped into my head, rusty. The dude looks rusty. Well, how can he be rusty? Well, it's been 10 days since he pitched. Gave him 10 days off. He's rested. I'm sure he's full of energy. Looked rusty to me. Lack of command. I've seen him lack of command before. Like I think a couple games ago when the ump wasn't giving him that high strike, and he moved it, and he maybe didn't have true command, but his pitches looked good coming out of his hand. They looked really good, even though he didn't have pinpoint command. But tonight, he didn't have pinpoint command, but his pitches didn't look good. didn't look like they felt right coming out of his hand, and they didn't move the way they normally do, and he looked rusty. So the 10 days off, I don't know any way to prove it, but I'm going to go with that. I'm going to say that the 10 days caused him to be rusty. He came in, was struggling with his release point, struggling with the feel, and one thing led to the next. Plus, there's a little bit of the math gods coming in there, just due for somebody to hammer him, and they did. So I think it was the perfect storm of that. I think it was, looking back, obviously hindsight's 2020. It appears to be a mistake to let him go 10 days without pitching because he forgot where the release point was. So I don't know what the answer is. I could be way off, but that's what I'm going to go with, which means I'm going to turn the page on this outing by Shota and go, he's fine. The math gods have caught up with him a little bit. He hopefully will pitch with regular rest on his next outing. He won't be rusty, and we'll be right back at it. So that's what I'm hoping for. Kyle Hendricks came in relief, and Kyle's job at this point, because Shota had given up the 7 runs at this point, and we were down 7-4, so we were still in it, but we needed somebody to eat innings. Kyle comes in with a runner on and 1 out in the 5th with Sanchez up, and first pitch induces a 1-4-3 double play. So Kyle got out of that one pitch. He ends up pitching the 6th, the 7th, and the 8th. He goes 3 2/3, gives up 2 hits, 3 runs, a walk, a strikeout, and 1 home run. ERA now 10.16 for Kyle. But he ate the innings up, which is what I think that the mission was. So Kyle finishes out 3 2/3. Looked about like what you would think, a little smattering of success here and there, but got hit hard as well in those 3 2/3. So that's the pitching side. I guess we were due for something like this. I was just hoping that the roles would reverse tonight and the hitters would pick up the slack a little bit and pick up Shota. And they did a little bit. Let's go ahead and talk about the offense tonight. We started talk in the leadoff spot at DH. Say was in right field again, hitting second. Bellinger in center field, hitting third. Morrell back at third base, hitting cleanup. Happer in left field, hitting fifth. Nico at second base. Bush at first. Dansby at shortstop, hitting eighth. And Yan Gomes catching, hitting ninth. We go 10 hits total tonight. Walked 3 times and only struck out 5. We did leave 9 on base, and we were only 1 for 8 with runners in scoring position. So we had some volume, but we missed a couple of opportunities that, had we capitalized on that, we'd have been close. So let's walk through the scoring. Hap got us on the board in the second inning with a solo home run. So Happer's starting to show some signs of some slug. Home run in the second. We got another run in the fourth inning. Hap singled, Bush singled, then a balk moved them both up, and Dansby grounds out to shortstop, scoring Hap from third. That's the 1 run in the fourth. We got 2 in the fifth. Talk singles again, reaches. Saya singles behind him, so Talk goes to third. So first and third. Saya steals second. And guys, at that moment when Saya stole second base in that fifth inning, we had 2 leadoff singles, and Saya stole second. It was his second of the season. And it was just nice to watch us start to play a little bit. And so when he stole second, I was like, okay, it looks like maybe we got something going. And then Bellinger grounded out to the third baseman, to Ortiz, unassisted. And the weirdness of it was that for some reason, Saya kept coming and ran right into Ortiz. So Belly grounds out to the third baseman. Talkman scores. The third baseman, Ortiz, is not going to get Bellinger out. He was backing up on the play, and it was a little off kilter. And Belly was going to beat it. And Saya runs right into him. So it was like what we'd have had a run in. We'd have had first and third, no, or first and second, nobody out. We'd have had Morrell coming up, and we'd have had something. And Seiya just ran into an out unnecessarily. Big base running error. Morrell then strikes out looking. Happ reaches on an error by the first baseman. Nico walks. So now, still the fifth inning, we got bases loaded, 2 outs, and they pulled Bush for Patrick Wisdom. Brewers had a lefty on the mound. So here comes Wizzy with 2 outs, bases loaded in the fifth inning. He gets hit by a pitch. Bellinger scores on that. That's Wisdom's RBI. Now we got Dansby up, 2 outs, bases loaded. We're in it. I mean, this is it for Dansby. And I felt the pressure for him, and I know he does too. He hasn't done anything big for a very long time, and he's up with 2 outs, bases loaded. He can break it for us. He can turn it right here, and he just runs into some bad luck. Hits the ball hard hits the ball deep, and that center fielder, that Perkins, can play center field. Makes a great play on it, and so we end up leaving the 3 guys on base. Dansby was dejected. He hit the ball really well, though. We got 2 runs in the 9th inning. Talk singled. Seiya flew out to center. Belly hit a bloop double, pop up down the left field line that just fell right in the triangle between them, right on the stripe. Morrell singles. Talk scores. And then Happ sack fly scoring Belly for the 2 runs. So we got 2 in the 9th to, make a little bit of noise. So that's the 6 runs. It wasn't enough. Talk went 2 for 5 tonight with a couple runs scored. Talkman's, offensively, we can't complain. Mike Talkman's one of the league leaders in on-base percentage, and just about every night he's on base getting a hit or 2. And he did that tonight as well, 2 for 5. Seiya went 2 for 5 tonight, and he's starting to show some signs. He hasn't started to turn the corner where he's slugging just yet, but he is hitting some line drives and getting some singles. So I think that is a reason for optimism that maybe Seiya is starting to come out of it. Bellinger went 2 for 5 tonight. He had that bloop, and he had another infield single in the 3rd. 2 runs scored. Christopher Morrell struck out looking twice tonight, but he got robbed by Perkins. In the 3rd inning, Christopher Morrell had a home run that Perkins robbed him of. Perkins went up and pulled it back. There's an example of how we've been talking about Morrell's luck, that his numbers in terms of hard hit rate and exit velocities and all that would equate to a much higher average normally, but he's only hitting 197. And it happened again tonight. He hit the ball hard. Perkins robbed him of a home run in that 3rd inning. But he's now striking out. So struck out looking twice tonight, 197, Christopher Morrell. And before I leave Christopher Morrell, I'll tell you this too. When I see that 197, Christopher Morrell is statistically the worst third baseman in the league. So our third basemen as a group are there too, but Christopher Morrell specifically is the worst third baseman statistically in the league. He's our guy, and he's hitting 197. So you start to look around for things that are happening that are causing this spiral, and for us to be playing the way we are. Our defense is not good. We're not getting slugged. We're not getting timely hitting, and it shows up. Ian Happ went 2 for 4 tonight. His average is up to 226. Nico went 0 for 4 tonight. Bush went 1 for 1. He had a walk and a single in the 4th before he got pulled for the pinch hitter in the 5th. Wisdom got hit by a pitch, had an RBI, then he grounds out to short in the 8th. He's 0 for 1. Dansby got robbed in the 5th. He had a walk, so he goes 0 for 3, and Dansby's average, guys, is down to 204. So we got Dansby at 204, Morrell at 197. And then let's go to Yan Gomes. Yan Gomes came in tonight. I don't remember last time he had a hit. Had a strikeout tonight, goes 0 for 4. Fly out to center, fly out to right, and a ground out to short. His average is at 158. Yan Gomes is really in trouble. You can tell looking at him. I think he doesn't believe he's going to pull out of it either. I don't. I think that's what it is. And he's trying, I know. I mean, he was good for us last year, but it's not even close. And he doesn't show any signs to me that he's coming out of it anytime soon. And he gave up a couple stolen bases tonight, and he was trying to throw these guys out, but it just doesn't look like he has it in him, if that makes sense. It doesn't look like he has even the ability to do that anymore. So still a receiver. He's still catching the ball and framing the ball pretty well, but it looks like he's lost the ability to throw anybody out, and he's hitting 158. I just don't know how much longer that situation will survive. So we'll have to see. Here's what I do know. I do know that Pico Armstrong is eligible to come off the injured list and be, or not the injured list. He's eligibly called up from Iowa. He will have been down there the 10 days necessary starting tomorrow, and I anticipate him getting the call. I guess I wouldn't be shocked. I'll be disappointed if they don't. Maybe they want to wait until the series is over, until we roll over, but I don't know. But he is eligible to be called up tomorrow, and I'm expecting some changes, bringing in some help, trying to get some spark, and we certainly need it. So tomorrow's game, we need to figure out a way to win this. We got Tyone going against Colin Ray. I like the matchup. If Tyone can do what he's done, maybe the hot bats that I saw tonight out of the Brewers will cool down a little bit. Tyone pitch well, and then maybe our offensive spark that we showed tonight we can carry through. So tomorrow's going to be an interesting game for me offensively to see kind of how we rebound, if we build on what we did tonight, if we revert backwards. So big game tomorrow. So that is a 12:10 first pitch tomorrow. So it's an early start. Guys, thanks for checking me out here in the RTC. Really appreciate it. We'll talk soon. Go Cubs, go.